Hello, today we're going to be talking about Ghost of Yotei. Let's start with this. Sucker Punch says Ghost of Yotei DLC will come down to community feedback. If the community wants it, they will consider it. It's an article by Push Square. Beyond the previously confirmed Legends mode, it seems that what Ghost of Yotei developer Sucker Punch will do next is still very up in the air. The studio will soon decide what its next big project shall be, and it doesn't sound like any DLC or expansion for Ghost of Yotei have been locked in yet. In fact, the chances of the latter even happening appear to depend heavily on what the game's player base is saying. So, here's the thing. With this will tie in with what later we'll discuss in the video, but right now, first of all, let me just say the fact that when you have a game that's successful, usually you don't end up debating the DLC depending on your audience's feedback. It's more or less we're gonna have a DLC because more content for the game plus more money from existing fan player base already that want more content in said game. But what we have here with Ghost of Yotei is the fact that by all means, from all the signs that pointing, the game didn't sell that well. I mean, it probably didn't flop so hard that now they didn't make any money back or anything. They might have broken even or anything. I say might have because there is still no official numbers from Sony or Sucker Punch, which also ties in later into the video. The fact is, they're not releasing any numbers. And now let's start with the next part of the story that I wanted to cover. So, again, Push Square article, September 2025 USA sales, Ghost of Yotei PS5 boycott fails, sequel sells great. That is what they're claiming. What are the official numbers? There isn't one. But again, some analysts came out and said it sold just as well as Tsushima, but oh well. I highly doubt it though. There was a small pocket of social media users who insisted Ghost of Yotei would be a failure. Unfortunately for them, the Sucker Punch sequel has done great. A vocal minority of terminally online took umbrage with the release's heroine, as well as some industry drama involving employees at the first PlayStation party developer. Now let me say this here right now. I think what the issue with all these journalists is, besides the fact that, well, they can't be honest even if their life depended on it, is the fact that I think a lot of them mistake what we really want. It's not that we want all the LGBT stuff gone or lesbian or gays are not allowed in games, because if that was the case, games like Baldur's Gate wouldn't exist. That's a perfect example of how you can provide both parties that are happy with the end result. It matters when it is forced. Most people do not want to engage in that stuff. Most people don't want to see that stuff. And that is perfectly fine. It's their preference. The same way as on the opposite side their preference is to become something they are not. Which brings me to the fact that, like in Veilguard, you have the options of the trans scars or whatnot. Why are they included for those people when theoretically the objective of being trans is to be seen as the opposite gender, then just play as said male or female depending on which one you want to be or whatever. Point being is, I think they're mislooking at the situation. It's not that, it's basically pattern recognition, okay? So basically you have Atsu and Yotei, which obviously is a supporter of Antifa and whatnot, right? That's fine. It doesn't matter that it won't mean that the game is bad if there is a voice actor or actress or whatever in the studio working on it that is in that group of people. What does that mean instead is that humans are very good at pattern recognition, and when 10 previous projects involved said people, it's no longer I just don't like it. It's more like, oh, there's this type of a protagonist, now there's a higher chance the game is not going to be what I want it to be. The game might be bad. And when you tackle on all the rest of the issues with the developers and so on, it's kind of more or less pattern recognition into a form that says, yeah, all these points make it so that the game may not be as good as I wanted it to be, or may be a failure straight out. That's the main thing that people are misrepresenting. It's just that there is a lesbian woman. No, it isn't. And Baldur's Gate wouldn't have succeeded as much as it did. Everybody loved that game. And those that wanted to engage with that stuff, well, they could engage in the stuff because it was optional. Leave player choices, basically. But this is forced. You will not be able to create your own character in yotei. You will be forced to play as Atsu, and a lot of people don't like Atsu's voice actress, or I guess actress in general in this situation. But point being is the fact that have player choice and you can get away with a lot more stuff than you would otherwise, because then those people that don't want to engage with that thing, they don't have to engage with that thing. But player choice is not exactly what a lot of people would like to give. They'd rather complain we're bigots and whatnot, but oh well. I do have some comments from the post I saw this on X. And the first comment goes with still no numbers shown. When a game sells, PlayStation shows off the sales. They're yet to do so. I don't see any boycotts. Sounds like you a lot are copying Twitter nonsense. People just ain't interested. And that's what I've been thinking for a long time. I don't think yotei's been boycotted or anything like that. It's more or less that people are just not interested in the sequel. Because a lot of people that played Tsushima were expecting Jin to be the sequel. But Jin wasn't. The protagonist was changed, and then there's a lot of people who immediately didn't want that, so they didn't buy. And what I think with a lot of these games that happens, Veilguard included, I don't think Veilguard was boycotted or anything. At the end of the day, if people want to buy a product, they'll buy a product, regardless of whatever else somebody may think. It is their money, they spend it how they want it. And this is what these journalists fail to understand. They think if a game fails or got boycotted by the enemy, the gamers, it's like, come on, people were just not interested in your product to buy it. If they were interested to buy it, then it wouldn't matter what kind of situation they're in. I mean, look what you tried to did with Hogwarts Legacy, with how you tried to smear its name because it was associated with the J.K. Rowling's. Like, it still sold the most numbers that year. So it all boils down to the fact, are people interested enough in buying your product or not? And another comment says, if it's selling so well, then why are they refusing to reveal the sales numbers? And where are the sales numbers? Then you would think if it was really on pace with Tsushima's sales on hardware that is trailing behind the PS4, you would think Sony and Sucker Punch would tweet about it. And that is exactly another telling point. Whenever a game does well, companies can't just not brag about it. Whenever something releases and sells 1 million copies in like an hour or a day or 2 days, they are bragging about it everywhere. We've yet to see a single official statement from Sucker Punch or Sony itself. Only some analysts and some, well, what I call them, random people who may have the actual numbers or may not. We don't know. Thing is, we won't know until we see official numbers, because this happened before as well. Veilguard was the top seller, Shadows was the top seller. We can go back a list for, I don't know, the last 10 games or something, which these journalists praised as the best selling, the return to form and so on, the usual journalist bullshit. So the thing is, if it was really that successful, we would have seen official statements from Sony or Sucker Punch. But then we have the fact that there is no planned DLC, which already is kind of like, yeah, they probably didn't sell what they wanted to sell. And the fact that they haven't still released numbers is definite proof they didn't sell as much as they wanted to, or even sell enough to make back the money they spent in making the game. Point being is, if these people actually made game first social messaging out, these games would succeed. You can have your protagonist that's a female like this, You can have a story that's, well, a revenge story, even though it's been played 700 times over. You can have all that, but you have to put your game first. Make it fun, make it enjoyable, make it a game people wanna buy. Then you can stuff in a little bit of whatever nonsense you wanna stuff in, because people will be more forgiving that way. But what these people are prioritizing is not the game, but it's their ideology, their messaging. And that's where their games break down. Instead of providing a product that people can be happy about playing, they're providing a product that they are happy in pushing a message out. And that is where these companies are losing their player bases, these companies are closing down, and in all honesty, I don't see this happening anytime soon. I can probably imagine more people, companies being bought out by somebody else like Tencent, or I don't know, like EA's Saudi acquisition. It's like, I'd rather think that's the future we're heading to, where other countries' companies will take over the Western companies just for the fact that they will need to bail them out from the massive debt they are incurring by pushing the agenda rather than caring about the bottom line of their company. And when that happens, these same people will complain that you're selling out, they won't care about the players. Well, guess what? You didn't care about the majority of players for a long time if you're in the situation where you need to sell your company. And that's all for today. I'll see y'all next time.